Yo, welcome back to the Audio Theory Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. What's good, Danny? How have you been?
I've been good, dude. I survived the weekend. I think all Drake stands were struggling. Yesterday, we'll get most of the episode. Spoiler alert will be about the Grammys. All good, all good. But the weekend was great, bro. Active. I know you and I always talk about like fitness on the pod sometimes. So I feel like it's appropriate. So you work from home most days, correct?
Uh, 2 out of 5.
Two.
So
Whoa.
technically more.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair. So on an average work from home day, before I ask you the office day, but an average work from home days, even if you include the gym or whatever, how many steps do you take?
Steps? It's a good question.
Because they say the average
Probably.
person should be averaging at least like 9 to 10,000 steps a day.
Oh, definitely not at home. No way.
So do you
Like,
know? Like you don't know the average at all?
I don't know the average. I could see if maybe my health thing has been tracking it at all, but if I had to guess, like, shit, maybe 1,000.
Yo, dude. Okay, so I figured you would say that. I think the average American is at that. Again, I hate when I do like polls and it's like 4 people I asked, but I've been trying to ask
Mm.
more people to get like a good census of this, bro.
Yeah.
So I was tracking this because I'm trying to like this to be the year like I'm cutting back on drinking aggressively, no weed at all. Dude, I was about to get a miracle marijuana card, like I qualified for it, and I was like, you know what? That's like fuck the alcohol, bro. Like I could be the cleanest person in the world, but if I smoke, I'm eating everything. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, let me cut that shit out as well. But bro, I was like, but every influencer, like a fitness person I'm following, like as far as planned, is like, yeah, you need to be averaging 8 to 10,000 steps a day, even if you're active at the gym to truly see the results. Bro, so
Mhm.
Monday of last week, because I work from home Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday of last week, I tracked this shit. Bro, it's 7:30 at night, and I only have 1,700 steps in, and I worked out that day. Like I didn't do cardio, but I was still at the gym. I did a little bit of like
Yeah.
walking on the treadmill, and I was only at 1,700 steps, bro. And I'm like, yo, like this is how am I gonna get to this number? Then I started like implementing like different like walks throughout the day. But yo, it's crazy. Like on a normal like work from home day, most people like have lunch at their desk, like I do. And like you don't want to walk away from your screen because you're scared that someone's gonna call you out. Bro, I started like taking meetings on walks now. Like if my camera doesn't have to be on, like fuck it, bro. Cause I'm like, bro, you're literally bro, all the health concerns like of people who sit down all day longer are like alarming, bro. It's like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
literally like killing ourselves for a job who like doesn't give a fuck. Like it's
Right.
so I was like, bro, I immediately like, I gotta fix this shit quick. So today was a work from home day. I implemented one walk, then I went to the gym. That's why I was a little bit late. But like I'm
Yeah,
at
yeah.
7,500 steps on a Monday, which is like
Oh
even my
shit.
phone's like, what's happening? Like
Not to disc. I'm 1,000% positive. Steps are healthy, but when I asked my wife, because she was really big on steps and everything, I asked her why specifically 10,000, and she couldn't answer me. But I don't know if I heard this from work or online, but apparently 10,000 was just like an arbitrary number that sounded good. I don't know if that's fact or
maybe,
not.
dude. It may be, but then I always think about, dude, I don't know how it is when you guys go to Europe or even Asia. Like, bro, I remember when I was in Thailand, bro, I'm like looking in the mirror. I'm like, bro, how am I fucking ripped here? I haven't worked out in days. The only difference was the walking, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
every day you're averaging 12,000, 14,000 steps. And then
Hmm.
my average day here is three,
Yeah.
So like, I feel like just from that own little tests I did, I was like, bro, this has to be something, bro. Because I know everyone always will say, oh, the ingredients in foreign countries, blah, blah, blah. Bro, when we're there, bro, you can eat pizza all fucking day long. You're also walking like 9 miles a day.
Yeah. No, that's how it was in when I was in Portugal. And I always get kind of nervous about Europe because everything's so damn carby and then you're drinking all
Mm-hmm.
the time. But we made it a thing to like walk everywhere. And even if we didn't have like a goal in mind, we're like, let's still take the long way and walk
Yeah.
up these big ass hills and everything. And by the time I got back to the room, it was like dinner was burned off and I never felt bloated.
Gross. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you weigh yourself when you come back, and you might even have lost weight. You're like, bro, how the fuck does
Mhm.
this work? So yeah, I challenge you and anyone listening to just schedule like 30-minute. a couple 30-minute intervals, bro, to go for a walk and like do a meeting on the walk. Cause like, bro, like it's not that serious as far as like work. And like if they want to call your cell phone on Teams, they can call your cell phone. Like I've done multiple meetings now on my phone, and I'm like, bro, no one even noticed. Like so like why am I so afraid? Like, oh my God forbid I'm outside getting sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like a little like side note. So that's pretty much been my week as far as like fitness and stuff, bro. How was this week for you?
Week was pretty chill. I think work wise, it was one of the lighter weeks, thankfully, because the
No
week prior
travel?
was a lot of reporting. Yeah, no travel. Um, my boss was out, unfortunately, because she was sick, and I think just overall there just wasn't a whole lot going on, which was nice because sometimes I just want it to be a week where there isn't anything major that I got to deal with.
Yeah.
And then we had our holiday party at work. We always do it in January, I think, because during December one's gone.
Traveling or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it was nice to do that. And it was funny because they specifically chose January 30th, with which obviously is in the end of the month, but I found out like the committee like in my department that plans it did that because they were also doing dry January. Um, so collectively, like 10 people, including myself, like broke it like a day early just because of that event. But
That's so
I think it was
funny,
worth it.
bro. That's so funny, bro. These corporations, they can control us.
Right?
Yeah, I love it when it's like a holiday party. Like, all right, we'll give them only 2 tickets. It's like, bro, we have credit cards. We can just buy more
Yeah.
drinks. Like, it's just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
how.
Right.
Oh man, all right, cool, man. I'm glad you're doing well. Health wise, update there. You feeling better?
Yeah, feeling better. If anything changes, I think I'll probably take my ass back to the doctor just to make sure. But so far, so good.
Nice. Knock on wood, bro. Hope it stays that way. Hope you have a great February. But let's get into it. Episode 202. Episode 201 is everywhere. Where podcasts and on YouTube as well can be found. I mean, the biggest thing has to be the Grammys. We're recording this on February 3rd. The Grammys were yesterday, February 2nd. I think a few surprises. So, I mean, let's go. Should we go through the Kendrick aspect of it, or should we go through like the winners and some things we maybe got right or wrong?
Yeah, let's start with like I guess big surprises that we
So I
that we
would
had.
say let's go to best rap album because I think you and I had an opinion there. So man, we'll go through the list, but I don't think either of us had. Did we have Doce winning?
I'm pretty sure we did
We did.
predict her
Did we
winning
predict that
that.
one right?
Yeah, I think best new artist maybe we was she nominated for that?
Best new
Because I think
artist. I'm
that's the
going.
one where we may have questioned whether or not she would get it. But I'm pretty.
Best new art. Oh no, best new artist was Chapel Rowan. We both picked Sabrina Carpenter to win that one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think we did. I know Shabuzi's also there too, but I think the obvious. I mean, if we had to do a rethink, to be honest, like I know hindsight 2020, but I would have picked Sabrina Carpenter for best new artist. But best rap album, like it didn't do. They had the Defa Slim Shady. We don't, dude. We didn't think that Future Metro Boomin were gonna win over Doce.
I don't think so. Because I mean, thinking back, I feel like I for sure wouldn't have thought that, but I think it was my own bias of like I didn't really like much of that album besides like that. So I'm like, why
And
would they give that
fair
to them?
enough. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, at least for me personally, I mean, we'll pull up the receipts, so we'll see. I mean, I know both of us were like J. Cole's not winning. Dude, I know for some reason I could have swore that 21 Savage was nominated for this shit. And I felt
I
like
think
that was our
we
pick,
brought it
bro.
up. I think we said it should have been,
Oh, it
and it
should have
just
been
wasn't
okay.
on the
Maybe,
list.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe, bro. Yeah, because I'm just like, dog, how are these the only albums that were nominated?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, again, well, TBD. Again, happy for her that commemorates a phenomenal year that she pretty much came out of nowhere and took over the rap scene, especially for as a female rapper. For this to be, I mean, it's crazy how this is like the second female rapper in like 5 years to win album of the year. But in a weird way, I kind of think as far as like ability wise, way more deserving than Cardi, and love Cardi to death. But I think that was way more like popularity and people fucked with her as
Yeah,
opposed to, damn, this woman is spitting fucking rhymes.
right. Yeah, I feel like Cardi B is like one of those charisma artists where like people just want to see them win, but it's not they're not necessarily doing anything out of the box.
Right.
And she's got not yeah, I guess you could say she was kind of handed hits in a lot of ways, like the fucking was it the Carlos Santana, like is that was it Carlos Santana?
Um,
I like you like that, or am I just completely butchering it?
no. But someone of that like ilk, like someone in like the Latin culture that it was just
Yeah,
like a give me record, and
yeah,
she's been public about how like most people write her rhymes or whatever. So yeah, again, I feel like there's no comparison, not in a bad way, but like it's almost like, and I hope this doesn't sound like the worst, bro, but like Doce, I don't even look at her as a female rapper. And I feel like there's a compliment in there, but I hope it doesn't come across as like misogynistic and stuff. But like
yeah,
when I listen to her body of music, like I acknowledge it's a female who I'm listening to, but like I'm able to just enjoy the music and not overthink what I'm listening to, if that makes sense.
yeah. And I think for her, it's like refreshing that she's not. I think it's maybe because to us female rappers are synonymous with like twerk rap and like,
Yeah.
oh, look at my pussy type raps, and
Even though
she,
like we mentioned at that time, like that is sprinkled into this
yeah,
album. It's just
which is
not the
fine, right?
overwhelming theme. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's where the conversation with a lot of people be when there's a lot of tension when this topic comes up with females because they're like, well, guys get to rap about XYZ, and that's true, but I think there's a balance. Like, not every song is necessarily about, you know, a guy banging out some bad chick. It might be a bar, but like it seems like with a lot of the female rappers, Adochi excluded, like every other bar is how wet their pussy is or whatever the case is, and that kind of stuff is it's so limited in terms of where that's going to be listenable. It's like the
You
strip
can't
club,
listen. Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. 17 songs of that while you're driving wherever is just like as a male consumer, dude. But even as again, I told you the story about Gina at Coachella when we went to see Megan Thee Stallion. Like even she was like, "Oh, this is like every song," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is like every song." So yeah, dude, kudos to her. I think this is an amazing bow on what was an amazing 2024 for her specifically. So yeah, man, I can't. Again, I agree. We probably did pick this because if these were the options, yeah, I think we both enjoyed Alligator Bites, Never Heal way more than We Don't Trust You. And
Mhm.
then we never really took the Death of Slim Shady too serious. I didn't listen to the Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock. And then we were both disgusted by J. Cole that like we kind of like removed him from consideration. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we both went with Doce. So I'm glad we had a winner for her. So good for her. Okay, other surprises. Best country album, Beyonce. Album of the year, Beyonce's country album, Cowboy Carter. Thoughts on that?
Um, so I can't comment on the musical aspect of it because I didn't. Country's honestly not my genre, and Beyonce doing country is for sure not my genre of choice. But I think I was. I think I felt a sense of pride, maybe you could say. I don't know. I
Nice.
just feel like it's a category that's low key a lot more racist than other ones. Not the people who make the
Yeah.
music, but like
But the people
it's
who
just
consume it.
racist. Yeah, the people who
Yeah.
consume it have this idea of like what a country artist should look like. And as much as Shabuzi gets love, and as much as, you know, Beyonce, I think might have gotten some love here and there, I feel like people still don't want it to get like too black.
Hmm.
So the fact that she won, even though prior to this with other genres, like let's say R&B, I feel like they kind of just blindly hand her stuff. In this instance,
Yeah, because
even
mind you,
if
this
you
is
could
her.
say they're better, I'm like fine with it.
Yeah, that's funny because yeah, this is I think she's like the leading winner all time. Like what after these, now has 33 Grammys, which
Wow.
is wild.
Damn.
Which is wild,
Yeah,
which is more
that's
than anyone, I think. So, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, again, same. I don't have commentary besides I know that everyone who listened to this album and like as far as like the sources that you should go to, like as far as like New York Post Music, Rolling Stone, the reviews were phenomenal. So we can say, or you could say, if you want to, like, devil's advocate, like, oh, maybe they just wanted to give it to her for the opposite of all the reasons. Like you said, you're like, hell, let's give it to Beyonce to show that country music isn't racist. I think the feedback was this was a very good body of work. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like corny or like gimmicky in any kind of way. I think she genuinely tried to write a cohesive body of work that was that genre. And I'm pretty sure that Shabuzi got a lot of recognition for being one of the main writers on that album.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what
So
I did hear as well.
yeah, so
I feel
good
like
for
he
her.
should
Again,
have continue.
won something, right? Like the fact that he didn't win anything.
Yeah, because I was looking at best country solo performance, and again, my bias. I only know so many country songs, but it felt like white people were loving a bar song by Shabuzi. So I'm like,
Right.
if they're
Yeah.
loving this shit and this dark ass dude as well, like it has to be a banger. Like there's no other, you can't fake that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very interesting,
Big
dude.
ass
Very
dreads and
interesting.
everything.
Yeah, I feel like he's getting a lot of love, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Sometimes these Grammys, and that's like a bigger conversation for later, of like, who gives a fuck about the Grammys? But again, it's still a special night in music, regardless. If you look around that room, the people who make decisions and who everyone's checking for the most part was there. So again,
Yeah.
shout out to Beyonce for winning Album of the Year and Country Album of the Year. So now we can go to kind of like, I think what we all again, so let's first go into what happened yesterday as far as Kendrick Lamar. So Kendrick Lamar was nominated for 5 Grammys. If I miss one, correct me if I'm wrong. So best rap song, best rap performance, best rap video, or best
Yep.
music video. Sorry, I think it's the best music video in a general, right? Or was it
Yeah.
best
Best
rap
music
video?
video in general.
Okay. Record of the year, which is like the third most prestigious award, and then song of the year, which is like the most prestigious as far as one song is considered, right? So
Yeah.
he was nominated for all 5. I think you and I agreed he was gonna sweep the all the rap nominations, right?
Yeah.
Like
Just no
best song,
question.
we were just like, yeah. So for those two, we were like, for sure. Did you think? And I know on air, we on air or whatever, we didn't really talk about best video, because again, me personally, bro, like I didn't care for the video. Like I don't know, because I felt like that song was such a massive hit that the video should have had more, as opposed to just like what feels like every other, like, hey, like this is about my city, right? It could be Atlanta, it could be New York, it could be Boston. Like it just felt like any other rap video that's about like, hey, let me walk you through my entire neighborhood. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I said the same thing. I'm pretty sure when the video first came out, and I think a lot of it was like the pop out concert already happened. Like we had heard the song so many times. Um, I personally loved the song, but by the time the video came out, when there's so much hype, like you're expecting it to be more than just like, oh, I'm back in Compton, like the city's chanting the song with me. You're expecting something maybe a little crazier. I've never really revisited that video if I'm being completely honest. Not that it's a bad video, it's just
Not that
to
it's a
me it
bad video,
wasn't
bro.
like,
Like,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God, like there's all these like crazy Easter eggs that like I would have never thought of. Like
Correct.
me personally, I don't it didn't grab me as much as I thought. But best music video, I don't know. Maybe in comparison to these, it kind of maybe
Can
makes
you
sense.
list? I don't have that list of best video. Who are the
Yeah.
other nominees?
So Taylor Swift with ASAP Rocky, it was like that AI, like the weird, remember it's like
No.
he's in London and like there's just a lot of
Oh,
weird
sorry,
AI
sorry,
shit
sorry. The
going on.
song Taylor Swift, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
not my
Taylor
bad. I
Swift by
think you meant
ASAP
like they
Rocky.
had, yeah, that dude. I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
video was way better,
Yeah.
bro. To be honest, that shit
Yeah.
was crazy. Like
Yeah. Exactly. But I'm like, I know that video there was no conversation about
there
it
was no
after like
conversation.
the week we talked
Correct,
about it. So I'm like,
correct,
that's
correct.
not winning. And then Houdini by Eminem. I think I may have said I feel like that one might get it just from like a nostalgia standpoint. Um, that was
Yeah,
his
but even
single off the
that,
last
like that,
album,
yeah, I
right?
remember. But there also wasn't that much of a conversation of the video
Right.
per se, because I think like if so, who were the other two nominees?
So Fortnite, Taylor Swift, and Post Malone.
A lot of
Um,
conversation about the song,
yeah, the song, not so much the video. And then 360 Charlie XCX.
which she had a phenomenal year as well. So
Mhm.
it seems that like that video went to the award went to the song that had the biggest success. So inevitably, if you happen to put a video out for that song, where I feel like we're also gonna give you this like hand in hand, like you know what I mean? Because like literally, if it wins everything else, why wouldn't it? As long as he had a video, I feel like he was getting this award.
Yeah, and it could be probably even be like a visualizer, just like an
Yeah,
animated version of the pins on Drake's house or some shit.
yeah, bro, exactly. I think as long as he had a video, I think whoever, and I'm sure like the data would show from previous year, as long as you were the person and your song was massive and won everything else, you're probably like this is almost like a giveaway Grammy. Like, bro, we're also gonna give you the Grammy for the video.
Yeah, and to be honest, I feel like nowadays the music video is less and less uh, of like a focus with many of these songs, unless the song kind of like warrants going above and beyond. Most of the time, it's just like, all right, whoever is featured, like we're gonna have some cool, shots in the background and call it a day.
Yeah, call it a day. Correct, bro. So again, I think that one was a surprise, but if you kind of break it down, it makes sense. So he won those three before the show pretty much even started, right? So then the show starts, we get to the end of it. Song of the year. Again, I feel confident that we didn't have him winning, right?
No.
Because I think if we look at the list, a bar song by Shabuzi, Birds of a Feather is what I picked, by Billie Eilish, Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Fortnite, Taylor Swift and Post Malone, Good Luck Babe, Chappelle Rowan, Please Please Please, Sabrina Carpenter, and then Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. So, do you remember who you picked? Did you go with Taylor
I'm
Swift?
pretty sure if I didn't go with Taylor Swift, I went with Shabuzi.
Shabuzi, right? Just from like
Yeah.
the over, I think you did, bro. We can find the receipts, but I think because again, overall, I think the thought process you shared was, I know Not Like Us is huge, but Shabuzi was like the biggest song in the country for the majority of the year.
Yeah. And we know that like rap kind of has gets the short end of the stick at the Grammys when it comes to like the genreless category awards.
Correct. So him winning this was whoa, right? A massive moment. You know, everyone loses their shit online, rightly so. Like, bro, this is a great look for hip hop. And then, so he wins that. Surprises, obviously, our podcast. And then, record of the year comes up. And then that one has Now and Then by the Beatles, Texas Hold'em, Espresso, which did crazy numbers by Sabrina Carpenter, 360, Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather, which again was my choice, Good Luck Babe, and then Fortnite. Do you remember what you picked for record of the year?
Record of the year. Um, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I either went with Sabrina or Taylor
Taylor,
again.
right? Just from like the idea of like, why wouldn't they give it to one of these white women? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
And there's like several to choose from. And like I know
y-
Billy and Taylor like just
yeah,
favorites, and then country, and it seemed like was the genre like last year.
yeah. I think my thing for especially picking Billy, I was like, one, I hear that song everywhere, bro. Like, as
Mhm.
much as Not Like Us was a sound on Instagram and TikTok, so was that song, bro. It felt like every song
Yeah.
was Birds of a Feather. And then, dude, I feel like anything Billie Eilish gets nominated for, Grammys, Oscars, she's gonna win that award. Dude, the
Mhm.
fact that Not Like Us won everything that it was nominated for was sensational, bro. Like, just kudos to him and his team. Again, we'll go into the politics and nonsense on the side in a second here. But regardless, bro, this dude left with 5 Grammys for one song. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't an album drop. This wasn't,
Yeah.
whatever. This was one song, 5 Grammys. So, what was your genuine reaction when these things were all like unfolding?
When I was watching the pre-show or whatever, and it was Mustard accepting the rap portion of the awards for Kendrick, wasn't surprised at all. Wasn't even necessarily that excited because I'm like, who else is it gonna go to? Kendrick's not even collecting the award, so to him, it's probably a no-brainer. Um, at that point, I'm like, all right, this award show is could still be bullshit, and we're gonna see some some crazy unwarranted awards given out. But I think once it got to this point and it got Song of the Year and Record of the Year, um, and then following that whole, I don't know if you saw it, but that whole spiel about the weekend fucking boycotting the Grammys and then him performing right after, like I just felt this overwhelming sense of we hear you loud and clear. We're gonna call a spade and like recognize, hard work regardless of uh whether or not, hip hop is like a real art form in the eyes of the people. And I think for me that was more exciting to, because I think for us, like not like us is such a big cultural moment, but sometimes when you see like people who don't look like us dancing to it on Instagram or TikTok, you're like, do they even give a fuck about like the context, or are they just doing it because it's popular? But it seemed like the world gave it recognition on like a major platform. So I think for me, like that was super exciting, and I couldn't believe it because every year it seems like when we're doing this recap, we're just uh, time again talking about how the Grammys always gets
Got
it
it
wrong.
wrong.
Like this song is 10 times bigger. How could they possibly do this? But in this instance, I don't think Not Like Us was necessarily a no-brainer for the average person.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
to win an award is, to me, is pretty wild.
it's wild. So then, So all those things being said, right? Because I think the overwhelming feeling that we have when we do this recap episode is that they get it wrong in some kind of way.
Mhm.
So even though we may acknowledge why they gave it to him, do you feel confident that they got it right when it comes to song and record of the year, like for those specific awards?
I think so, just because it it was just overwhelmingly the talk of the town, in like you
For
just
so
couldn't
long.
escape this song. And I don't even think it was forced. I think that's what for me was another important factors, because some of these songs you're like, okay, but like it seems like the world was trying to force me to like this shit, whereas Not Like Us I still think was genuinely just like viral on its own, organically. And I feel like it like without that song 2024 just is a fake year that never existed. Like there's no way there's no way 2024 was 2024 without that song. Whereas I feel like with the bar song and all the other ones, like the year still would have been kind of unchanged. And that's like
Mm.
trying to remove my hip hop lens from it.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't disagree with any of that. I think I was just surprised. I felt like I think I had the commentary from the weekend recently, the last 2 or 3 years. Drake the last 2 or 3 years, and I know Drake is a buzzword for this, but again, these things happened years ago, right? Not like last week, right? Where we had a comment on
Mhm.
this, and like we've spoken about like the merit of this, and it's like, oh, when it doesn't work out for the artist, it's easy to say, well, fuck this. But then it does work out for the artist. It's like the greatest thing that ever happened to them. Listen, I don't know. I feel like this was the music industry acknowledging an artist who had a run that was unprecedented for one song, right? I think this was what it was, right? I think for the same could be said for Beyonce. Like, I don't know how good the album was, blah 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 blah, but I think this was like, hey, listen, you are an historical person. You made us a very good body of work. We're gonna give you everything as well. Like, I don't know. I feel like there could be nitpicking here, but I think the Grammy also becomes like, I don't want to say politics, bro, but a thing of like, we also don't want to be too far removed from what the world is telling us is the best, right? So if the world is telling
Mhm.
you, hey, Not Like Us was the best that ever came out this year, give into that, right? Like, I think this can go back to Cardi B stuff, right? Like, you and I don't think Cardi B was better than Mac Miller, you know, the other
Astroworld.
one, Astro World, the marathon, right? And then I got this might be crazy to say, but I know Macklemore got crazy heat for him winning that award over Kendrick and other artists. But bro, if you the world was also telling the Grammys that Macklemore was the most popular thing in the fucking world, right? So
Yeah.
I think it works both ways. Like, dude, like Kendrick Lamar was is the most popular thing in all of the world the last 9 months. So I know. I think this is them just saying, "Hey, we're going to acknowledge what everyone is saying again and give this guy the award." And yeah, it may not be the norm for us to give it to a hip hop act for these awards, but again, that's a great point. In a 2024, that really wasn't groundbreaking anywhere else, right? Like Birds of a Feather, if you really put it in hindsight, it was just another very soothing song from Billie Eilish, bro. That shit could have been the same song she dropped 6 years ago, whatever. And it's like it kind of sounds the same. And then Taylor Swift having a song we all kind of like with Post Malone, like, okay. Like there was nothing earth shattering about this. That's why I think the Shabuzi was a good call out, because at least it was somewhat different, like, but even that is just a recreation of a song we've heard multiple times. Like, do you really want to give that too much acknowledgement? So yeah, I think like there's a story here, like why he got it, because without him, 2024 would have been very lame.
Yeah. I just checked. Apparently I did. That was Not Like Us was my pick for song of the year. And I think it was when I looked at the list.
Nice.
I mean, basically everything you just said, it just seemed inescapable. Like as much as my gut was like the Grammys
Shabuzi?
not, yeah. Like I feel like maybe they'll go the more PC route and choose something that like was safer. But then I'm like, I don't know. Like Not Like Us was just too massive of a song. Like there was just no way that the Grammys couldn't acknowledge it without looking like straight frauds.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you were able to look that up. So yeah, I mean, so we got that one right. Did you see what you put for record of the year?
Record of the year. I may have said the same thing. I'd have to check, but I probably would have said the same thing because to me, at least, they're kind of identical. I know there's like a slight variation in what a record is, but I'm pretty sure I said the same thing.
Nice. So again, sweep for him. So obviously now we got to bring up the Drake aspect of this, right? Because you can't escape it. At the end of the day, it's a song that is what we say 95% a diss track, right? Or like,
yeah,
what's the math you put as this being a diss track and then this being acknowledgement of like what LA rap culture should be? Like, what's the percentage, bro?
I'd say 80% diss, 20% the West Coast is a force to be reckoned with.
Okay. So that I agree. And I mean, I could probably give it more like 90. I give it like 90% diss track, 10% LA. So I think from the Drake perspective, it's like maybe I'm like compensating too much as a Drake stan. I think if we went back to when this happened at the peak of the beef, and I mean peak as in like when it's clear that Not Like Us is a absolute undeniable hit, right? Regardless, not when it first dropped. Like give it a month afterwards, like maybe like late May, early June. The world is telling us this song isn't going anywhere. We don't give a fuck about the lyrics. We don't give a fuck if it's fake or not. We love this fucking song, right? Which I think we saw in the room last night in a huge way. Taylor Swift doing a stanky leg to it, looking like a complete clown. All these things, right? I think it's very easy to be prisoner of the moment, right? Everyone's like, check on your Drake friends. How is Drake? Bro, we predicted this. We said the world predicted this 6 months ago. We're like, bro, he's going to kill it at the Grammys if any of these songs are nominated, right? He's going to kill it. And then he's going to perform the Super Bowl the week after, and he's going to have a great show and do Not Like Us there, right? So, like, I think in the moment, it's very easy to be like, oh my God, what is Drake going through? Bro, Drake knew this was going to happen, bro. There's a reason he sued at this time. There's a reason he did the Australian concert at this time to not be in the States, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, like, I don't know. I feel like it's let him have his moment. And I do think there's something about like, this is still about Drake, even though it may not be, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you're a Drake stan, I don't think you get caught up in bro, this was always going to happen. Like, there was never a situation where Kendrick did not leave with at least 4 Grammys last night for that song. And, like, we predicted this 6 months ago. So, for people to get caught up in it and feel like, oh, my God, Drake is dying. I'm like, bro, no. Drake knew it was going to fucking happen, bro. And he dipped and sued hoping that would distract people from this shit.
Was it? I thought it wasn't really certain though that because there was a period where we didn't even know if the song was gonna get submitted to the Grammys or anything, right? Because it was just like all these random ass releases from Drake and Kendrick back and forth that didn't feel very official. But I think several months later, then it was like, oh, the Grammys are actually considering,
Yeah, so I
nominating,
think,
and this
but
is
when the nominees come out though, like the nominees come out like in before the year's over though, right? Like October-ish.
yeah, yeah. But I think before then, it was still a question of like I don't even think the Grammys were a thought up until it was towards the end of year, and then the Grammys announced, or someone, it was a rumor at first that they were considering nominating it, and then it obviously the list came out like in October or whatever. And I think at that point it was obvious it was gonna win something. But I
Right,
feel
but
like
my point,
prior to that,
October
everyone's
is
like, "Oh,
still
it's a bet, gonna be
four and a
that."
half months ago, though, right? So I think it's like
Mm,
I feel like a lot of people get caught up in like yesterday, like, oh my god, what is Drake thinking? He's. I'm
mhm.
like, bro, like they knew this was gonna, bro. When it was the number one song in the country for 14 weeks in a row, I
Yeah,
think they know, bro. Like that's way before the nominations come out. Like, dude, this is gonna happen, bro. Like it's the biggest thing in the world. So I don't know. I feel like it was very easy to like kind of like pile it on Drake and OVO, blah blah blah, and like personally. I think it is weird, bro. If we're gonna remove and we can give him all the accolades to Kendrick. I do personally think that it's weird that you have this moment and it's about dissing a guy. Like again, I do think this automatically if it wasn't already, which I think it was, not like us, obviously the most successful diss record of all time, right? There's like no comparison.
mhm.
But I do think it's weird that you have this successful moment and it's just about this one dude who you don't like that much. Like personally, I think that's odd. And then like never acknowledging it, but like, like I get there's like the LA perspective and like the things he said were beautiful, but it's also like, bro, like you can also just like say something else, bro. Like acknowledge like why you're there. You're not there because of all these amazing like yes, and the idea of Kendrick Lamar is there because of all these great things from LA, but for this specific record, bro, you're there because you hate this guy so much you were able to cook up the greatest fucking diss track of all time. So that part of it, I think I personally still find like odd.
I could see how it's odd to like not address the elephant in the room, but I feel like I mean, clearly his
You kind of let
intentions
the
of not
work
doing
speak
it.
for itself.
Yeah,
Like,
because then it's like I would hate it if he looked like the sore winner where he's like constantly having to acknowledge him like if it would reach a point where it's almost tacky, like if he was at the Super Bowl and like a big ass fucking projector with like Drake crossed out on it was up there and everyone's chanting it. It's like, we get it, you won. So I think he has kind of no choice but to be like, yo, like, thanks, like I guess this is a cool accomplishment, and then like walk off. I feel like he has to be super nonchalant about it. But also, like, I heard in an interview that DJ Head, like his main DJ or whatever, was saying like the day after Not Like Us took off, um obviously everyone in TDE or like around Kendrick was going nuts, and he said he talked to Kendrick, and Kendrick was super casual about it, like, oh cool, like got a 100 million streams or whatever, cool.
yeah,
Like it
yeah,
seemed
yeah.
like he didn't really give a fuck. But then again, he's telling us in the song like he hates everything about Drake. So I don't know if it's just his tactic of destroying Drake, but he's not losing sleep over it. Like I don't know. It's a complicated thing to digest as
Oh, dude,
far
this is a
as.
case study for the centuries, bro. Like, I hope our
Yeah.
kids, when they're in college, get this case
Mhm.
study. Like just like the
No.
social aspect of it. That's like insane. Like, bro, like even like I think we made this comment like during COVID. Like I can't wait for like the post report of this. Like, it's too much when you're in it to truly assess like what the fuck is
Yeah.
even happening, right? Like, I think we're still again. He's winning awards for the song now. I think he's going to be nominated again next year for GNX. And like, again, there's still like the Drake aspect to some of that album, if not a large part. So I think like when we're like a couple years removed and we see the actual impact this has on Kendrick's legacy, Drake's legacy, I do think this case study of 2024 to whenever is going to be very interesting, bro. Because like, yeah, and I do. This is his 20th Grammy win, bro. So again, to Drake's point in Family Matters, he opened his mouth, give him a Grammy. Like again, there's a reason he said that, right? Before Not Like Us even came out, because he is the darling of the industry and the track record. Like, dude, for the Nobel Peace Prize, the Pulitzer Prize, whatever it is, definitely not peace. He doesn't. This guy does not like fucking peace. But and then also like all the great. Like, again, he is beloved for a reason. He's that skilled. But I do think it's this aspect of his career, like these last 2 years, when it seems to be so one directed at one person. I do think it's going to be to see how that ages. I am curious, but right now, I mean, it's aging very well, and he can literally put no foot wrong.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I think he is just very disappointed in the trajectory that hip hop is gone. And it just
Which
so
he alluded
happened,
to in his speech a couple of
right.
times too.
So that's why I'm like, Drake got caught in the crossfire because he's like the poster child of where rap has gone. And I think he sees Drake just as the main person to blame because he's like kind of holding the torch of the new school. And I think he just got fed up with it and doesn't necessarily hate Drake as a person. I think he just hates everything he represents and like all the moves he's making. And I think Drake is kind of confused because I imagine from Drake's perspective, it was just like, oh, you just wanted my spot. But now it's like, oh shit, like you think I'm just like a horrible character who's like
Yeah.
destroying the genre. Like I didn't know it was that deep. I thought that's why I'm just like gonna make fun of your wife and shit and hope you go away. But it seems like it's a lot deeper than that to Kendrick.
Oh, clearly, bro. Clearly. But yeah, it's again, I'm just gonna be very interested in how this all plays out for the years to come. But again, for all the Drake stands out there that listen to us, watch us, again, I think there's some solace in that this was all predictable. So like I feel like it's very easy to be prisoner of the moment and be like, the world's closing in on you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, like this is always gonna happen. Now we're just living through it, bro. Like, you know, when you see like the storm approaching, like, yeah, you're gonna get wet, bro. It's gonna be very uncomfortable for a little bit, and then it fucking passes. Like, I think this is very much the eye of the storm right now because these next 2 weeks, if you're Camp OVO, they're gonna suck. And it's like, it is what it is, bro. You lost the battle, and this is like the fair result.
I think the audience reactions though were more of the surprising piece for me because winning the Grammys is one thing, but to hear the attendees of the Grammys chant A minor and all that stuff, I think that adds a whole level of like, damn, they really don't fuck with me over there.
Yeah, but again, if I'm Drake's camp, though, I think that's an acknowledgement of like, I haven't gone to this show in 3 years
So
for
like,
that reason.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you go back to his speech where he won the best song of the year, and I know Travis was blah blah. Dude, even if it's in his speech winning an award, he's telling the people there, this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that the people in that room who are fucking loving life to be in that room feel comfortable enough to sing a song that's dissing him.
Yeah. That's why it makes, and I'm glad you hope that, you know, the future generations write some sort of or create some sort of fucking documentary or thesis analyzing all of this. But it's interesting how Kendrick is kind of like this, I don't know, like Robin Hood figure. And now the tables have turned and it's like I see a lot of OVO fans basically painting the picture of like, oh, now Kendrick's the establishment and represents the dark side of like the industry because he's in cahoots with fucking UMG and, you know, Jay-Z clapping it up and Beyonce, and they have their own conspiracy theories about being Illuminati. So like, I wonder, is Drake now going to be the underdog who like looks like he's been bullied and victimized and somehow comes back from like a whole new angle of like, oh, they try to blackball me, but I'm still here type situation. I think it'll make for like an interesting few years.
I think so. I think the next few years is going to be very telling. I mean, that could be a good segue to Kanye's role in all of this because I think Kanye, obviously, shut it down with him and his wife walking in and her wearing nothing. Dude, shout out. What's her name? Bianca?
Bianca, yeah.
Yeah, dude. People don't even know her name like that. And we're just like, yo, Kanye's wife, who kind of looks like Kim, but has like
Yeah.
a bigger chest. But again, shout out to them for apparently they were never kicked out of the Grammys. There was a rumor going around last night they were kicked out for not being invited. But he had a full Grammy show. We'll get into the aspects of that and how he keeps leaning into AI in a second. But like even in one of the, he had a projector going and him like doing different clips of different videos. And one of those clips, he's asked a direct question, is like Drake dead? And he acknowledges that Drake is dead right now. But like in any other superhero movie, don't expect him to be down for way too long. And they usually go away for like a year or two and they usually come back.
You said like
So,
Steph Curry could make like 200 points in a game.
Correct. So again, and this is a wild thing, bro. Again, we're not going to go into the race aspect of what Kanye has said about certain demographics in the past, but bro, like if you go back to like peak Kanye's rants on Drink Champs to now, man, there really hasn't been anything he said that hasn't been proven right, bro. Like you can go to Big Sean being ass, either him saying it proved it and people wanted to believe it or whatever, but we've seen Big Sean's career since then, right? He brought up this Lucian deal with Drake, about Drake, and was like, man, I love Drake to death. I wish he was all my ghostwriter, but bro, this deal is not going to work out in his favor, and he thinks it is. So like the idea that Kanye is saying like, yes, he's done. Like, should we take weight in this? Like, what are your thoughts on those comments by him?
That saying Drake is dead but gonna come back essentially.
So there's some aspect of like that. He doesn't think that Drake is out for the count. Whereas like again, at the time when he said other things, we thought he was crazy. And I feel like that statement that he's not out for the count isn't what the general public is thinking. Because I think the general public is thinking like, bro, this guy's done. Like, or at least done being the guy in that aspect.
Well, I think that nuance and definition is important because to some people, not being number one means career over. And to me, I disagree with that kind of logic. I think Drake will never be finished in the sense of being one of the top stream / grossing artists. I feel like he's too multi-talented to not just gravitate to whatever pocket is going to work. Clearly like the R&B / Afrobeat stuff, like that is like beef or street agnostic, whatever you want to call it. Like that audience doesn't give a fuck about beef and like, who you're harder than or anything like that. And like clearly people like 6ix9ine can still do shit. So why can't Drake do that in those pockets? So I don't think Drake is done. I think the only aspect of him personally that I feel like is never like redeemable is him getting back into the hip hop side of things and claiming the crown. I feel like that is just a ship that sailed and will never be the same. No pun intended. But I think he'll always still be a legend and be one of the best, regardless of what people say. But in terms of like, I feel like similar to J. Cole for the past however many years, there's always been these kind of subliminals or mentions of like, I'm that guy, I'm number one, like no dispute, whatever the fuck you say. But I feel like at this point, he can't escape that unless Drake. I think Kendrick would have to absolutely fall off and just do some super dumb shit that makes him look like a clown. Like that's the only way I could see Drake being redeemable, is like best to ever do it ever. Because that stain is way too, the Pusha T thing, people just saw that as like gossip, but Kendrick I think is like an actual big ass L that
everyone's acknowledging, right? Again,
everyone's acknowledging
that you win 5 Grammys for that song. People are acknowledging. So again, I'll be interested. I think it was curious to just have like Kanye's take on that, because again, I feel like for all the wild shit he's been saying over the last 3 or 4 years, and I know it's longer than that, but like, when like this podcast taking off, I think he's that was interesting. And I think everyone may be holding out for the idea that, oh, I think Drake still has a hit. Like, as long as he drops another hit, no one's going to care. I think the points you made are valid. Like, I think that stain is like present enough that it's going to take more than just one hit record. And then again, if you currently no longer have the backing of the machine behind you, is it ever going to be a hit, even if we like it? Right. Like, I think
Yeah.
like academics alluded to that with Circadian Rhythm. Bro, that song should have done way more than it did. Right. Like, I think, like, to your point, bro, pockets of people like that and made it their sound. And we're like, oh my God, he's back. And then you start looking at the numbers like, yo, why is it this song on the charts? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? So it's, oh, I don't, because of that, I don't think he's one hit away, right? Like, because then who's going to be helping that hit propel to where it needs to truly be a hit where it's like undeniable?
Yeah. And I'm here for it. Like I would love to see Drake make a comeback. I just hope it's like authentic. I don't want him to fucking run to 21 Savage for Her Loss Part 2 or like, you know, link up with Central C for some like UK fucking Canadian hybrid thing. Like I just want
Yeah.
it to feel like he took a long deep breath and said, "You know what? Let me just be like vulnerable and myself again, whatever that means to him, and just
Yeah.
put out something an undeniably good project that isn't such a." I also don't want to be reminded about all this beef shit throughout the whole project. I want him to just kind of like move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But I think there's gonna be I think the fans and like not the Drake fans, I think music fans are gonna require him to also accept the L in one of these songs.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, and he fought back, so he shouldn't feel that crazy about it. I mean, the lawsuit shit I just realized is not
It's still out
the best look.
there.
But yeah, shit. Yeah, he's gonna have a tough battle. I forgot about that almost.
All right, so that was the Kanye aspect of it. But going back to Kanye real quick, he previewed some music. It still seems that Kanye has like, I mean, I don't even want to know what demographic that is that's like obsessed with him. But it seems that his whatever his core fan base is are rocking with him in a big way. But do you question like just certain moves that he's making, dude? Like, I don't know, him being so like connected to Justin LeBoy, like I'm like, bro, why him? Sometimes I'm like, bro, why is this like the voice you use? But maybe I'm obviously maybe we're crazy because I know Justin LeBoy has a huge following. I mean, I follow him on Instagram and Twitter, but then he has like Jim Jones and he's wearing like a diplomat's chain at the same time where like the diplomats are like disowning Jim Jones and like Cameron doesn't fuck with him. And I'm like, yo, what is Jim Jones even his career at this point? So like, what's the point of him there? And then like the game is there. And I'm like, bro, does anyone even fuck with? I don't know, just like, and then he keeps pushing like more. He's like, yo, he said, I think the comment he made was, I'm using AI like the way I used to use auto tune back in the day. It's just an extension of me. So like, all of this seems very weird. And again, that's coming from someone, and obviously jump in, but like, who love Vultures 1 and Vultures 2. But like, just the idea of Kanye in February of 2025. Like, what are your overall thoughts on him?
He's one of the like most confusing, polarizing guys in general. I would say like I just have no. Whenever I see him making moves and saying things, even if there's like truth to it or it sounds like plausible, half the time I'm just like, why are you doing this? Do you even believe what you're saying? Is this like some next level like thing that even Kendrick and Drake couldn't fathom? You're like 1,000 steps ahead, and you just so happen to be like richer than everyone, so you know more than we do. Like with the Bianca shit on like the simplest level, I still don't understand what he's
But
trying to get
why?
across. Like that he's such a boss, he can make this bitch walk around naked everywhere. Like I don't get what the meaning of it all is. It could be as simple as like just proving to the world that like social norms don't mean shit or something. Like
Yeah,
I
I think
really
it's
don't know
honestly
what it
more
is.
that. I think like almost like he creates what the norm is.
Right. And but that to me is like terrifyingly sociopathic and like just
Yeah,
unnecessary. Like I agree with a lot of shit he does and says, but like there's also like boundaries as far as
yeah.
what I'm willing to do. Like if I agree social norms are stupid, I'm not gonna fucking walk butt naked to my job tomorrow just to prove a point. Like that's the type of time I feel like he's on. Like getting ahead in the on the boat and shit in the open in Italy.
Like, yeah, like we know that's happening, but you don't have to do it there.
Right. So yeah, I don't really fully grasp it. I'll admit, like at this stage, I'm in the separate the artist from the art type person. Like I'm here for Bully and Vultures 3 and whatever else. But beyond that, I don't know if I could ever subscribe to like these cult like speeches and shit. Besides the
Hmm.
nuggets that are relatable, like the Drake thing was like the most sane, regular
Yeah,
shit that like that he thing that he said that I could agree with. Like, oh, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. He's like really paying attention. Clearly saw the Tyler, the creator video. I'm like, I
hmm.
wish we had more of this Kanye that like proves he actually has a phone and
A
like is on the
pulse.
internet and
Yeah.
shit. Versus this like mysterious, let me wear a mask and like not say a word, um, and be on my meds.
What was your take on like him not backing down and saying he's gonna keep pushing AI to the forefront of like music creation? Because it's odd because I know like a lot of people gave pushback because a lot of artists don't feel comfortable with the idea of AI not
Yeah.
replacing them, but essentially replacing them in a weird way. So like, what are your thoughts on him saying he's using it more to his advantage?
Honestly, I think I'm overall kind of disappointed. Especially with like Vultures 2 when it was clear based on like looking at Reddit and stuff that certain things was just it was like sci-hi rapping, but he used AI to replace sci-hi's voice and shit here and there. I believe that was the case on a couple
Oh
songs.
wow, that's terrible. That's accurate, bro.
And I'm like, dog, you can't take 10 minutes to fucking record this shit. Like he's writing
Right.
your fucking lyrics, first of all. Second of all, like you have all the money in the world. You can't convince me that you were that busy to where like you had to use AI. And I saw like some other interviews, some AI dude basically saying, well, AI is great for music because making music's hard and that's not enjoyable. But like that's the whole point. Like doing things that are difficult and overcoming that is the rewarding part. Like it's
Hmm.
not rewarding for everything to just be fucking done at the click of a button. And I think if we're gonna complain about the music industry and how shallow it is and easy, the barrier of entry so low and this and that, like if we use AI, then who gives a fuck like
Who
about the
gives a fuck?
struggling
Yeah, yeah,
artist? Let's just press a
yeah.
button and listen to a bunch of bullshit and move on. And it's odd that someone like Kanye West, who's like a
The
pioneer in this
genius.
space,
Yeah, like the
yeah,
yeah, music genius. Yeah, yeah.
is like, let me automate this shit. That to me is weird.
Yeah, because like I think there's like beauty and like the idea of dude, even him, like think about like my dark twisted fantasy where apparently he flew everyone out to Hawaii because he wanted the right setting to make the music that he tapped into, which again, I think we all agreed was one of the best albums of that decade. Like
Mm.
that to go to, oh yeah, I just created like 17 songs for you guys to listen to in like 5 minutes. Like the idea that it's no longer hard or I think fuck remove hard, like creative enough, right? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing special about this, right? Just because it's Kanye West putting lyrics into an AI whatever thing doesn't change the fact that it's still AI and that takes the human element that we're meant to like truly fall in love with, right? Just because it's your voice, but we know it wasn't you in the depths of it. I think that takes some of the appeal away from me, which is why I really haven't even, and shame on me, and obviously you can jump in if you have, but like I haven't even really fucked with the videos he's put out because like the fact that I know that this like is that like again maybe in like I'm sure in 40 years, bro, that stigma is going to be gone because it'll be the norm, and like that's usually how
Yeah.
these things work. But in present day, when we're like almost trying to fight that, if you truly love the art form, it's weird that he's the pioneer of this when like you would think he'd be the one fighting the most to keep the creativity. But again, he's
Mhm.
also the artist who sampled the most. So how much creativity is there if you're, kind of being, nitpicking and stuff?
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's like the intent and context and everything super important. It's kind of like with auto tune. Like in certain instances, people are using it to make it seem like they can sing, and then you have some people like Future who they're using it as like a tool that just adds to the vibe or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I have like less of an issue with that, if it makes sense. Like there's a video I sent you one, but there's another one as well of Riff Raff, and the video's AI clearly, but it was dope because his lyrics are kind of just out there and random as fuck.
Hmm.
So you kind of need AI to put all of that together, and it's dope. But if it gets to a point where now it's like Drake is pretending to be on a boat in Brazil and he just used AI because he was too lazy to fucking fly there for the video, that's when I'll start to have an issue. Like, all right, now you're doing stuff that's convenient and not no
Yeah.
longer doing the hard sacrifices to make some shit work. And I think that's where I'll start to get disappointed and be like, man, like I feel weird supporting you now because you're
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. So we'll see. I think Bully is meant to be dropping like next month, right?
Uh, I, I looked it up. I could have sworn someone said, or an online publication said like June or some shit.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I was wrong. I know he previewed a song off Vultures 3. I think Ty Dolla Sign was there. But yeah, I don't know. It just everything again, and I think we can do. There's probably like 1,000, or I know we only have 202 episodes, but it's probably like 4 or 5 episodes that we're talking about how weird Kanye is right now. I think this we're in one of those moments again where like I'm not saying he's losing his mind because if anything, this is more like he seems like the more in tune with hip hop than he's ever been in a few years, but
Yeah.
it's still weird, bro. Like again, like I don't understand the alignment with Jim Jones and the game. Like I don't know why. Like what sense does that make, bro? Like it's because usually his alignment similar to Drake makes sense from like, all right, let me tap in with people who are truly like at the forefront of what hip hop is today. For you to get
Yeah.
Jim Jones who can't rap and the game who no one's trying to listen to him for the past like 7 years, like I don't know, like all of it just sounds like or it seems very odd.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't understand it, but I'm hoping it's like his genius and he sees things in these guys that we just aren't capable of because we're not obviously like friends with them or anything. And we're judging them based on previous work that maybe just doesn't seem like it matches up to anything Kanye's capable of.
Yeah, hopefully it's that. But I also can't imagine me falling in love with a Jim Jones AI version on a feature of on Kanye albums, like Kanye West's
Yeah.
album. Like all that just seems bizarre, bro. But again, I think that's what Kanye is going for. And do the fact that I think Forbes just confirmed he's a billionaire again twice over. I mean, good for him, bro. Good for him. All right, but before we get out of here, quick 2 second, 2 minute, whatever review of the Weekend's album. If Tomorrow Never Comes, I think is the name of the body of work. Oh,
Hurry up
Hurry Up
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Hurry Up Tomorrow. The Weekend, 17, no, 22 tracks.
Yeah.
Quick summary of it. Love it, hate it, indifferent.
I'd say indifferent. When it comes to the weekend, I've never really been an album a fan of his albums like as bodies of work. I guess that music generally just isn't my cup of tea. And there's a lot of artists
Sure.
I actually listen to that are kind of like that. Like I'm never really checking for an album, but singles and features, I get excited. With him, I think what made me excited for the album was Timeless with Playboy Cardi. I still love that song. Probably one
Facts.
of my favorite releases of his ever. But in terms of the album, I think it sounded very expensive. Like, and if
Very
I was,
expensive.
yeah, like this shit sounds like to your point about Kanye flying people out to Hawaii. I could imagine him being in like a gold plated fucking palace with like a bunch of beautiful French supermodels or some shit. Just
Yo, but that like that Sao Paulo song sounds like he flew out everyone to Brazil. Like we're
yeah,
making this shit in the favelas, you know,
yeah, yeah,
like it sounded for like very much like a lot of thought went into it. So I did appreciate
yeah.
those aspects of the album.
I think what I appreciate about him is he seems very consistent with his sound. I've always liked how like unfiltered and raw his music has been, and it seems like he's like a pop star who never uh bowed down to the industry. And if I was a massive fan of like a diehard fan of The Weeknd, I would say this album would probably uh be one of the top ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of cool cuts from it. I just think personally, like if I'm not a diehard fan of you, I have a hard time listening to 22 songs from you in general. But definitely not a lot of nice cuts. I prefer his more upbeat songs, not so much the ones that like don't have drums and they're like more like ballads and stuff. Like that's not
Like the I think one of
selective.
those songs is like the damn, what was the name of it? The Cry for Me song. Yeah, I
I
think Cry
actually
for
like
Me.
Cry for Me. That was like the more reggaeton sounding one.
And maybe there was another one that like he has a couple like really sad songs on this.
Like Drive for Me, for instance, is like too too low key for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think if you're like a weekend fan, you're definitely listening to this like, oh my god, like that was a fucking movie, you know?
Yeah, like Grammy
I know
award
there
movie.
are cinematic moments in it, but again, the receipts will show. I mean, I said this before, and I want to say this. I said this before the Drake beef, so like at no point am I like thinking about Drake listening to his album, but like I remember like for the last two albums, I was just like what mood do you have to be in, right? Or like what is like even the music he makes, because it doesn't move me enough where I'm like put that on again, right? Or like put it on in the sense of like just let it play and we'll listen to the whole thing over and over again. Like to your point, like I love moments of it always. Like if you go back to the Heartless, you know, moment that he was in that vibe, there was like two or three songs on the album that I fucking love. The pop or the what was it, the FM album? What was
Dawn
that
FM.
one? Dawn
Yeah.
FM. Even that, I was like, I understand what you're trying to achieve here. And there are a couple of songs that I think actually I fuck with in a real way. But like for the most part, like what mood do you have to be in to be checking for the weekend? Right? Like
Mhm.
that's like kind of what I got from this. Like I listened to it twice, and at no point where I was like, yo, change that song, it's trash. But I was just like, bro, this is like kind of all over the place, but like not in a bad way, but like also like okay, right? Again, I don't see myself like going to the concert, right? I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, my boy was like, I'm not gonna say anyone's name, but like, he was like, oh, the hoodie drop, it's fire. I'm like, bro, I'm not buying a fucking hoodie for this guy. Like, you know what I
Yeah, no,
mean?
I feel you.
Like none of this is moving me enough as as a casual to be like, oh, this is the album that grabbed me. Was like, oh, I get it now. Like, I'm still very much a casual after the listen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same way. In terms of the mood, at least as far as what I've seen other people say, because I'm trying to make sure I do my part and don't like put this shit on while I'm boxing if I'm supposed to be fucking
Yeah.
running through like a poppy field or some shit. Apparently driving like long drives are what this meant for. Some of the lyrics make it seem like you also have to have like just gone through a divorce or some shit for this to hit. But
Maybe.
beyond that, like
Long drives I get. I mean, I was doing a long drive, and again, I wasn't not enjoying it. I was just
yeah.
like, at no point was like, oh, yo, play that again. Maybe what couple songs say play that again. But like again, I still felt like a casual afterwards. Like
Mhm.
this wasn't the album that truly pulled me in. It was like, oh, bro, I finally get what The Weeknd is as an artist. Because I think that's
Yeah.
has been my issue. I think maybe again I jumped on to the bandwagon too late. Not the bandwagon, but you know, like truly became aware of him on like a pop level that I just never got it from the beginning. So I think I don't have that grassroots understanding of who he is at his core. So like it just doesn't. I know you dated Gigi Hadid. You were kind of chubby before. You kind of fucked with Drake. You don't anymore. Like you're Canadian. Like all of it. Like I'm aware of aspects of it, but like I don't
Mhm.
understand the cohesiveness from the beginning. So I think there's just been a constant disconnect for me, like moving forward.
I think a good way to summarize it from my perspective is he seems like a much more emo Drake, like a hopeless romantic who's just like on drugs half the time, banging supermodels and stuff, and like kind
Yeah,
of lost. So I think a lot of people bang to this kind of music too, or at least want to feel like they're out, with supermodels, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
clapping cheeks and the two player for love. Like I feel like that's also kind of a vibe a lot of people
Like I
listen
think,
to this
yeah, dude,
for.
that's great. I think this is like the vibe of this is not a pregame and it's not like during the game, like when you're out clubbing. I think this is like when there's the group was like 15 and then there's like six of you left and you're like, we can't end the night. Let's go to someone's like penthouse, leave the lights low, and like party favors everywhere and like you know what I mean? Like where you're
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
still like uppity for like a mood, but you're really not gonna go too crazy because you have no energy. So like lower level tunes make sense. Like I feel
Hmm.
like that's kind of what his like pocket is, bro. Like, because
Yeah.
there's moments where it's like up, but then there's moments also where it's like super low and like it's almost like ballads. And you're like, all
Yeah.
right, bro, like, but like, what, like, that was like the last song. Like, how, why did it drop so drastically?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's probably the most common mood is like it's
Yeah,
4 a.m., night's not
it's,
over, people are
yeah.
still fucking tweaking and need a nice smooth way to end the night.
But which is it's wild that if that's the consensus of what his music is, that he's this famous on like a massive commercial level.
Hmm. Especially because like in other like I know he's worldwide famous. People in like Philippines and shit love him, and they're not, you know, banging
Known for
supermodels
that.
till 4 in the morning and all
Yeah.
that. So I'm like, I think it's like he's reminiscent of Michael Jackson and stuff and like
Sure.
80s music. So I think there's like it's split. It's like the quote unquote degenerates and then like people who just like old music that reminds them of like the older
Of the back in the
decades.
day, which is why I
Yeah.
think Bruno Mars is so successful in what he does. So yeah, again, I think the from us, Audio Theory, I think it's a fine album. There's moments you might really love, but like if you're still like if you were casual before, I think you're still a casual afterward. Fair?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, bet. So before we get out of here, great episode, my dude. Always love doing this. But before we get out of here, episode 202, gotta drop some heat of the week. So what was the heat of the week for you?
Heat of the week for me.
Not like us.
No, I mean, shit, I might start liking that song again because I feel like we got a period where after GNX, nobody was talking about Not Like Us as much. Um, I would say, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot since we last spoke. Um, and was there really not that much music?
But shout out to you. I did enjoy that lefty gunplay. Can't
Oh,
get right.
nice. Yeah, no, that song's dope. And that was like one of the last ones I added that I really liked. Um, damn. I would probably say here, let me go before that. What was I listening to before that song? Um,
I can go first if you want me to.
yeah, you go first because this is I'm struggling right now.
All good. Yeah, I mean that just proves how mediocre the weekend album was. I'm joking. Dude, for me, when I was listening to the weekend looking for new music last week, I came across a new release from famous indie rock band Empire of the Sun. So Empire of the
Mm,
Sun, massive hits. We Are the People, Alive, all those songs that came out like at the peak of us in college. I think the same applies for you, like 2009, 2010, that time. So, dude, fell
uh,
in love with them, saw them live at a couple festivals. They dropped an album that sounds very nostalgic and to what they used to do prior. So my heat of the week is Empire of the Sun. Sorry, the song is called Cherry Blossom. Fun song. I think most of the songs are very fun. But again, if you were a older teenager, early 20-year old, like you loved Empire of the Sun in the late 2000s, like 2009 and 10 and stuff. So this is a great, like very nostalgic for like a man or a woman of a certain age of like 27 to like 36. So yeah, Cherry Blossom, but I would check the whole album out. It's a full album. Ask the God. Um it is 14 songs, bro. 50
nice.
minutes long, very easy listen. But if it's like the continuation of an old album from like 14 years ago, you would believe it because it sounds the fucking same.
Okay, dope. You said Empire of the Sun?
Empire of the Sun, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we'll peep that. Oh, actually, so I heard this song. It was in during that SZA movie. Damn, I already forgot the name of it. The
Yeah.
SZA,
Oh
He's
my
a
God.
Wild
I
One.
just, one of them days.
Yeah, one of them days. It was a song that was playing in the film, and I thought it was a Baby Keem song, but I Shazammed it, and it turns out it's not. So it's by artist. The name he goes by District, no vowels, and the song is called OT, and it's crazy to me because he sounds pretty identical to Baby Keem. I believe he's from the West Coast. I think he's Mac 10's son. My brother Corey told me.
Oh wow.
Um, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he goes by District, and the song's called OT, and it actually sounds really dope. And I assume just them both being from the West Coast, like that influence is kind of
Yeah, I
there.
think that
And it
album,
sounds like
that
a
soundtrack was exclusively like if you weren't even
yeah,
like
yeah,
West Coast adjacent, you're not getting a fucking song on that soundtrack.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it kind of sounds like a DJ Mustard beat, so I feel like you would enjoy it. And it's he raps on beat, so definitely not the stereotypical like blue face. Let me just talk about Crippin for 8 minutes off beat. It's actually a dope song.
Nice. OT. The song is called OT and the artist is District
Is District
DSTRCT.
correct?
Love it. And that song did that song just come out? That song
Um,
come out.
I think it was 2024, if I remember correctly. It
You
was
you correct.
2022. Oh damn, a long ass time ago.
Yeah, which is crazy. But dude, it is a well, Mustard is on it, so it is the Mustard beat.
Oh, it is.
It is a
Okay,
Mustard beat. Yeah.
nice.
And I think he has actually some vocals on it too. So, all right, cool. Bet I'll definitely. Yeah, dude. What a year for Mustard, bro. Isn't it crazy? He also had the best year of his life, and it had nothing to do with any of his own like his own album.
I know. Yeah, I forgot he even fucking released an album. Yeah, he's just like riding Kendrick's wave right now.
I mean, but some could say like, bro, like Kendrick needed those two like beats,
Oh
like
yeah,
because like TV Off is also could be fucking the top 5 song of the year. So
yeah,
yeah, good for him, bro. Like again, it's again, I think like maybe like under his contract, he just had to put an album out because that album did not feel cohesive with the other rest of his year was looking like. Like it just felt
no,
like, hey, I have 13 songs I need to put out. Let me get every LA rapper possible.
yeah. But I mean, shout out to him. I'm sure he's super happy because it sounded like he had been sending Kendrick beats for years and like nothing happened
Was
up
sticking,
until
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's it called? Not Like Us.
Which is crazy that he was. Dude, imagine like just sitting on Not Like Us for like years. Like not yet, not
I
yet, not
know.
yet.
I know. It's
Give it
crazy.
time, give it time. Dude, watch that motherfucker like already had this shit like planned. He's like, all right, I'm gonna let Drake get this much popular, and then boom, I'm gonna fucking ruin
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Oh my god. Do you think this is like audio theory after hours, but do you think in like that there's the world where like none of this would have played out if Drake just never responded to like that?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like Kendrick would have continued baiting him more with songs that were maybe less overt. So maybe stuff
Hmm.
like GNX, like I can't think of which song specifically, but like on that level where it's like he's not calling Drake a PDF or anything, but he's basically saying he strangled a goat and all the other stuff that would just bait
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Drake into. So I think it would have been drawn out like over more songs in more months as opposed to like damn near everything within like 3 months or whatever it was.
Yeah, but is there an agreement here that we do think that Kendrick got to the point where it was no longer going to be like subliminals and he did like because I think there's like a story here where again, and I know the case study will be fire, but like where Kendrick got to a point because the way the content played out that he was over this, right? Again, it could be over
Mm.
Drake, over what hip hop stands for, who's at fault to that. But I think there was an understanding here that he was over the state of hip hop, and I
Yeah.
feel like if Drake or whoever, like I think he was gonna go in on whoever got in his way. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that happened to be Drake, and obviously, the goat of the time, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wonder, like, if he didn't respond to like that, and was just like, bro, like, I'm good, bro. Like, I'm but getting the bag. I'm gonna drop a house album in like 2 months. Have your moment. Yeah, I don't know if it would have led to the success or craziness that he had, but I do
Yeah.
think Kendrick was like just fiending to like, bro, like, I need to take someone down so people just stop fucking with not fucking with me, but fucking with the thing that I love the most, which is hip hop.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, if Drake stayed silent and continued to stay silent, Like we don't get Not Like Us, or at least not with 80% of the content being about OVO. Maybe the same theme was there. I wouldn't be surprised if not the hook and shit like that
Sure, yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
already gonna happen regardless. But um, I would say he knew Drake was far too egotistical to
Yeah, yeah,
straight up
yeah.
ignore it.
Yeah, like this guy read whatever Art of War by Shenzhou, whatever
Mhm.
the fuck that book is. Like this guy was like, I'm gonna do this, then it's gonna happen, then it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, bro,
Yeah.
it was like a beautiful mind, bro. He's like, I'm gonna drop this and watch this, like, bro. Like
Mhm.
again, hindsight's obviously always 2020, but like in the moment, dude, remember there was a moment in that where we're like, bro, why is he taking forever? Drop
Yeah.
the fucking song, and it's like, fuck, what do we do?
But I mean, you like, so now with the Grammys, that being expected, we obviously know he's gonna do Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. Like,
100%. I think for anyone who had doubt,
yeah.
watch the videos of last night. They're playing the fucking song.
But do you think the hype is? Do you think like the mystique and shit is gone now that he's like gone on stage and like we see how he looked, you know, accepting the awards and everything he said? Like, do you think the Super Bowl is now like, okay, this is just like an after party almost?
Oh, like almost like the letdown of the video post pop out.
Yeah, like you could. That's a good analogy. Like, do you think the hype is kind of died down because it's so close to the Grammys? Apparently, he's gonna do a fucking interview on Thursday or something. Like, do you think it's just too much before the Super Bowl to where the hype's
No,
gonna die
I mean,
down?
dude, maybe, but if you're the Super Bowl and if you're Jay-Z, who obviously runs the halftime show for Rock Nation, the Super Bowl, like this is also the if the option is Kendrick loses 5 Grammys or Kendrick wins 5 Grammys you want this situation, right? I think
Yeah.
now you have people confirmed that he's gonna do the song right in their mind. So now you're like, all right, I'm so intrigued enough to see how he goes about this. So like, I don't know. I think the question you're asking is like, is it overkill with the Drake aspect of this? And I think that part is like maybe, but I think the majority of the world is like, who gives a fuck? Like, I think post Super Bowl is a better question of like what's going to happen for Kendrick, right? Because
Mhm.
obviously he's going on tour. The GNX is going to do very well. There's going to be snippets, but like I don't know. Like I think post Super Bowl, where like this part of his career is now, you would hope, right? Like, dude, there's no way we're getting GNX Part 2 that is like more fucking like, let's just keep fucking going at this guy. I think that's where the questions of mystique, right? Because I think we
Mhm.
we all saw a version again, and this is me as a casual, because I'll put my hand up and say I'm a casual Kendrick fan. Um, I think we saw a version of him that we didn't know was possible, right? And dude, even him winning the Grammys yesterday felt very like, whoa, like this guy's the guy, bro. And even though he's won 20 of these things now, like it still felt very different. But there's always something here that's tied now to someone else. So I am curious if people are still going to be intrigued enough when it's no longer about someone else. And now it's really like, bro, all right, talk to us about you. And what the fuck do you do for us to help want us to keep checking your music?
Yeah. I mean, I think my bold prediction or vote or whatever for MVP of 2025 still I think is gonna be Kendrick, but that's only because I feel like the tour naturally just drags everything across
Agreed.
the
Agreed.
year. And then if he releases another project, that's only going to add to it. But I feel
Because there'll
like,
be at least a few bangers that we all fucking agree upon.
yeah, exactly. But after that, then it's like, all right, if you killed the party and, you know, it's the changing of the guards and shit, like now what? Now what's the motivator or like your deep message of what still needs to be done? And that's where I'm curious because it's like if you took
Yeah.
down Drake and
And
you're
didn't
doing
really
this
replace
victory
him.
lap, yeah. So then what?
Like, yeah. 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 Well, then what more for us? Right? Because, like, it's like if you slay the king, but then you're like, well, I don't
And
want to
then
be
you dip
king.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, then, bro, we don't have really anyone to like look up to, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing for us here? So,
Yeah.
which
That's
I think
funny.
other people have said, right? Like, it's like heavy is, he who wears the crown. Like, bro, you better want to wear the crown then, like, because what's interesting, bro, like even like on GNX, like I think he alludes to where he also wants to be the businessman. But is that like the businessman who has his own label and is putting other artists on? Or the businessman who's like, I'm a businessman and like everything is about me and now I'm like the guy. Like, I am curious to see how that plays out because nothing leading up to this point would make you think that he truly wants the spotlight on him for more than a year, right? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just see if this is like a newer version of him that there is some like, and I don't want to say this in a negative way. I don't mean it in a negative way, but like you also have to be some kind of egotistical person to even be a rapper, right? Like you have to boast. So I think over the coming years we'll see how much of that is truly in him, or was again he just really wanted to kill the party because he didn't respect it, but he's like, bro, I'm not trying to throw a party either. Like y'all figure this out. Whoever's next, I'm just telling you, whoever's next better follow the rules, or if I'm coming for them too.
Yeah. I agree with that.
All right, Super Bowl prediction: Chiefs or Eagles?
I'm gonna say Eagles, because I feel like we're in this era where like the underdogs, quote unquote, are killing it. So I'll go with Eagles.
All right, I'm gonna go with Chiefs because I think it puts Mahomes in a air that's very rare, and it'll be cool to say that we lived through a time where we saw like another goat, like besides Tom Brady. Super Bowl plans for you?
Probably watch it on our rooftop.
Oh, that's dope.
They do
That's
that
dope.
every year, and it's nice because we don't have to like be in some crowded ass bar or pay like $50 just to sit around and eat wings. So yeah, we'll just stay here.
Nice. The wife and I are doing a staycation in Miami the 2 nights prior. So I can't
Nice.
imagine we want like a third night of like going out. So probably just watch it at the crib too and like order wings, Wingstop
Nice.
probably. But yeah, my dude, always appreciate doing this. Great episode. Congrats to Kendrick Lamar and TDE fam. But let's get out of here. But before we do, my guy, let the people know where they can find us.
Yeah, Zer, catch us at audio-theory.com. New episode every week on all platforms. We also have the Heat of the Week, Spotify and Apple Music selections on the site. Also merch. And if you're on YouTube, check down below and copy something. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and do what you can to support the channel.
Do what you can. Spread the word. Love you, my dude.
Sir, love you too. Peace.
Peace.